Hare Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraj Kachar Shishimad Govinda Swami Shila Gurudev Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraj Kachar Shishimad His Divine Grace Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraj Kachar Shishimad His Divine Grace Shila Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Vansagoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadha Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Shri Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Jamuna Maya Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Maharani Ki Shri Shri Gaurita Ki Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Lady Subhadra Devis Ki Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Shri Shri Radha Gopal Ju Ki Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Premanam Sankirtan Jagya Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru, Shri Guru. Hare Krishna. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well tonight. Thank you for coming all the way to Sydney. Give me a chance to do some seva and to speak Hari-katha, krishna-katha, for my Gurudev, Shri Guru Granga's pleasure, for my own purification, and also hopefully that you can also be greatly benefited by the mercy of Lord Krishna and his dear devotees. So we'll read a verse tonight from Bhagavad Gita as it is, and then we'll discuss. What happened to your other friend? Did we lose him?
Yes.
Oh, we lost him, huh?
I don't know what's happened.
We've got to pull him back. All Krishna can do is offer, and some will take it, and most won't. Because Maya is too powerful, and we're too weak, and our attraction and desire for Krishna is not sufficient. It's not sufficient enough for us to be willing to seriously do the work. If we think it's going to be easy, okay. If we want to go through purification and adjust our life and readjust our priorities, then that's another story. So Prabhupada said, hardly anyone's really interested to go back to Godhead. But if you are somehow fortunate enough, then Krishna says that I'll give you intelligence and understanding how you can do it, how you can understand me, and to go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, as it was, as it will always be. That's the nature of absolute truth. So this chapter is called Nature, the Enjoyer, that's not you, and Consciousness. Enjoyer, oh, Krishna. And consciousness. Although if we can give Krishna pleasure, we automatically can become peaceful and happy. It's automatic. So we can read text number 13:26. I found that this verse was really like a nice kind of finale of all of what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. It just in a very simple way just brought everything into like some kind of simplified conclusion of all of our discussion. I think when you hear it, you'll also probably see many of the points that we've been talking about and focusing on, and how Krishna has brought everything together in a very simplified way of how to understand everything in the most simple way, especially since we're not so qualified in the Kali Yuga. You'll see in this purport Prabhupada nicely also explains. Please repeat. Anye tu evam ajananta shutva anyebhya upasate te api cha atitaranti eva Mrityum Shruti Parayana Anye Tvevam Ajananta Shrutva Nebhya Upasate Tepi Charitarantyeva Mrityum Shruti Parayana Anye others two but evam thus ajananta without spiritual knowledge Shutva by hearing Anyebhya from others Upasate Te they Api also Cha and Ati Taranti transcend Eva certainly Mrityum the path of death Shruti Parayana inclined to the process of hearing. Are you awake? Conscious? Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Now previous to this verse, it was talking about, just to put it in context for you, Krishna was saying that some perceive the super soul within themselves by meditation, others are realizing super soul through cultivation of knowledge, others by giving up all fruit of desires. So all these different ways and processes of how to realize the soul and how to realize the super soul, Paramatma, within the heart. And in this next verse that we're reading tonight, Krishna says, and again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, in other words, they have no other qualification. They're not conversant in spiritual knowledge. They don't know what is cultivation of knowledge and meditation on the super soul. This thing sounds fantastic for them. Just like too difficult to understand it. So Krishna is saying there are those, they're not very cognizant and really being able to understand all of this spiritual knowledge because it's very subtle, it's transcendental. But if they begin to worship the Supreme Lord, upon hearing about Him from those who have strong faith and realization, and because of their tendency to hear from such pure authorities, then they also transcend the path of birth and death and ultimately achieve spiritual perfection in devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So those who are not very conversant or advanced in spiritual knowledge or realization. And they hear about the Lord from those who do have strong faith and realization in spiritual life. And through that hearing process, they develop purified consciousness, they develop faith, and then they also begin to learn how to worship the Supreme Lord. And because they're getting realization and faith and experience, they go on nicely hearing from those devotees, pure devotees, who do have strong faith and realized knowledge. And in this way, they gradually become purified of all material contamination and become liberated, and ultimately they also attain, they get free from the cycle of birth and death, and ultimately they also, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, they also will achieve spiritual perfection in devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So this gives us a little hope here, don't you think? And the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this verse is particularly applicable to modern society. Because in the modern society, there is practically no education or realization in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic, agnostic, or philosophical, but actually there is no realized knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, Prabhupada says if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, he gave great stress to hearing, because if the common man simply hears from the authoritative sources, he can progress. Especially, according to Lord Chaitanya, if he hears the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is stated, therefore, that all men, all persons should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. So if we're properly hearing from proper source, then that worship of the Supreme Lord will undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning, by mental speculation. Rather, one should learn to become the servant of those who are realized in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of such a pure devotee and hear from him about self-realization and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee by his mercy. In this verse particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers and so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back home, back to God. Om Gyana Chandra Chandra Shalom Jana Shalakara Chakshu Again, Krishna speaking to Arjuna and says that there are those, although they're not conversant in spiritual knowledge, they begin to worship the Supreme Lord after hearing about Him from those who have realized knowledge and strong faith. And because of their tendency to hear from such pure authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death and ultimately achieve spiritual perfection in devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So it's talking about controlling the mind, cultivating knowledge, realizing the Supersoul, surrendering to the Supersoul, taking dictation from the Supersoul. Wow! These are all transcendental topics. It's not if we're in Tamagun, Rajagun, how are we going to realize all of those things? Practically speaking. So some means of heavy-duty purification by the mercy of Krishna, Mahaprabhu, and their devotees, that's the only real hope we have of purifying this mad mind and senses, addiction to mental speculation, and so much of philosophical misconception, so many anarthas, unwanted things in the mind, in the heart, in the consciousness. So some special mercy from Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu's devotees is absolutely required. And Mahaprabhu knows that especially in Kali Yuga, everyone is Jagai and Madai. Everybody is Kalau Shudra Sambhava, right? Less than Shudra. So no real qualification. This is a very, very, not here because we did something saintly and godly, really. We're in the prison house of the material world for a reason. And so, in that low consciousness, especially Tamagun, Rajagun, Prabhupada said, you can't even realize even your own mind and how it's working. Right? What to speak about realizing the soul, realizing the Supreme Soul, right? Surrendering to the Super Soul, taking dictation from